Palestinian comrades, because the holding company or the owners of Clover South Africa, the company that owns them or that bought them out has invested in Clover South Africa. The largest shareholder is an Israeli company, CBC, and they operate in occupied Palestinian territory, occupied Palestinian land. And so in solidarity with the Palestinian people, we're also trying to build a united working class campaign against austerity, against job cuts, and against a system of capitalism and imperialism that displaced the Palestinian people and oppresses them to this day. So we're going to have speakers, a very warm welcome to everybody that's joined. I see that people are introducing themselves in the chat. That's great. Thank you for the initiative. If everybody can do that, then we'll have a register for the meeting. So that would be very helpful. If you can just write your name and organization in the chat, we'll be very grateful for that. Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen now. I've been having slight problems with that, just so that I can show you the agenda. Okay, so can comrades see my screen?
Yeah, sure, come.
Okay, so the agenda is we're running 10 minutes late. That's okay. The agenda is we're going to start with a welcome. So I've welcomed you, so that's done. Tick. And then we're going to discuss the what's the kind of because the comrade, so the first item was supposed to be Comrade John Apollos. So I'm going to ask if his connection is okay, either Comrade Sebe or Comrade Abida, if you can give us just a sense of what is going on with the strike, and then I can give some input on our plans for the upcoming actions. Then we'll get again input from Giusa and Fau. Then we've got a very special guest from Palestine. It's Comrade Zahia. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Zahia from the Palestinian Farmers Union. You're very welcome, Comrade. And Comrade Zahia will give us a message of solidarity and some input. Then we'll have a discussion on the upcoming actions and comrades' ideas on what we need to be doing. And then we'll end with tasks. I'll summarize the end tasks for upcoming actions. Okay, so without further ado, can I ask either Comrade Sube, or I'm not sure if anybody else is here. I don't think anybody from the task team is here. But either Comrade Sebe or Abida, are you able to give us just an update on the latest, on the current state of the strike?
Comrade Chair, can I interject before?
Okay.
Is the Sala Media broadcasting as they requested?
I asked them if they need anything from me. I've made them the co-host, but they haven't responded.
No, they are here.
Because if they can't, let me.
They are here, but I've asked them if they need me to do
Facebook.
anything. I've made them co-host, but they're not responding to me. Yes, Sebe, I know they're here. I'm asking if I need to do anything. I've made them co-host, but they're not responding to me. So I don't know if they're broadcasting or what they're doing.
They are. I've started the logistics with them.
Comrade Sbe, you are not listening to Comrade Ferron.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to move on. Comrade Teva.
I was proposing that if they are not broadcasting, then I can broadcast it on the Facebook of SAFT.
Look at their message come.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Maybe you can just broadcast it, Trevor. I'll make you co-host. Can you be co-host in broadcasting it? Trevor?
Yeah, yes, come.
What do you need to be able to share it? You need to be
Let me-
co-host or host?
Yes, make me co-host, but let me also log on to my laptop and be able to broadcast. I'm logged in with my phone, unless that would delay the meeting. Or it's being broadcasted, I see. Okay, then you can continue, Chair.
Okay. I need somebody from the unions to give us an update on the strike. So either Giusa or Fau. It was meant to be Comrade John, but he's not here.
I forgot the Comrade Abida to come first, but if she's not, Comrade Abida, are you able to come first, or I should come first? Come.
No, I
Okay.
can start, Comrade. I can start.
Okay, please do.
Shall I continue?
Yes, please, Comrade Abida. And just to note that this is just a short update, so it's 10 minutes in total.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, comrades. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. So, as Comrade Ferron said, is that our members went on strike on the 22nd of November. The strike was for demands with regards to wages, but also against what the employer had termed austerity measures, which resulted in retrenchments. At the end of November, almost 800 workers were then dismissed because the workers refused to sign revised and changed conditions of services. Also, what that meant for those workers was that their salaries would be cut with between 20 and 30%. And this was a direct attack actually on collective bargaining gains that we have made over the years when we had organized these members between Gibusa and FAU at Clover. So what then resulted is that our members, the striking members, were also entitled to a bonus, 13th check in November, the end of November, but the employer, in the attempts to weaken our strike and the members' determination, they did not pay their bonuses, which then forced us to file a dispute with the CCMA for the bonuses that was not paid. Part of what the employer had called the austerity measures means that they want our workers to accept conditions such as permanent short time, compressed working weeks, where they expect our members to work 12-hour shifts for four days with no overtime. Also, the whole issue with regards to what they call the one van assistant, because normally when the tonnage of the vehicle is more than 4.5 ton, they normally have two van assistants, but with the new proposals, that would be taken away. So there's been a number of austerity measures, and Clover was taken over, the majority stake was taken over by Molco, from the Israeli-owned company in 2019. Gibusa actually had opposed this merger at the Competition Commission, and unfortunately we were not successful, but there were some conditions to this merger. In other words, no job losses for the first 3 years, which expires, I think, September 2022. But even with that thing, we have already been confronted with factories being closed, plants being closed. Last year, between March and June, we saw the plant in Paro closed. There's also other pending closures across the country, and also then the plant here in Molnerton, which means that even from the beginning that Clover has not been in compliance with the conditions of the merger with Molco. And we have viewed this, and what we had said continuously, that this is just an attempt to completely decimate the manufacturing capacity in South Africa in the dairy industry, and this is really a challenge for us. We are also confronted with massive unemployment, more than 12 million, and we cannot afford to have more workers who lose their jobs. And these are some of the reasons why our members then went on strike. part of our tactics in terms of the strike is that we have been calling for a boycott of Clover products, also solidarity with communities. And we've had some successful actions where we, for example, in Cape Town last week, we went to one of the stores where we were just highlighting the issue about the, people not having to buy Clover products and labeling the products. And we've been having a number of actions, especially when the CCMA cases are heard, and in Cape Town and in Johannesburg. We form solidarity committees. There's a very strong solidarity committee in Gauteng and then also in Cape Town. And that solidarity is cross-cutting, not just with organized labor, but also with communities where our people live in. And we've highlighted also the issue that, part of this struggle is also in terms of our responsibility as organized labor, especially for our international solidarity with the people from Palestine. Comrades, the challenges that we have is we had a CCMA case last week where we were successful, where Clover was, the agreement there, the settlement agreement was that they have to pay the striking members their bonus by last week, Friday, which was the 14th of January. When we did the report backs, our members were very excited because they said that if they get this bonus, at least that can sustain them and they can be on the strike even longer, because now they would have money and they would be able to also send their children to school to cover all the back to school needs. Unfortunately, we are again confronted with Clover paying our members ridiculous amounts of 52 Rand, 500 Rand, and 300 Rand, and this was supposed to be a full 13th check. So we don't even know what Clover has been deducted. So we are now confronted with having to file another dispute. We also had another matter at the CCMA this week, Tuesday, for the unfair dismissal of the close to 800 workers who refused to accept the salary cuts and the changes to the conditions of service. But that matter has been stood down for another 5 days. We've been instructed by the CCMA to go sort out some things. And then we were notified, we received notice yesterday of Clover's intention to apply for the urgent interdict to have our strike declared illegal, and a number of ridiculous conditions with regards to that application that they've submitted to the Labour Court. For example, we can't ask, we must be prevented from encouraging people to boycott Clover products and to ask for secondary strikes, etc., etc. That is why most of the FAWA and Giwisa leadership is not at the meeting at the moment, because they are still in consultations with the lawyers so that we can also challenge that. One of the biggest challenges for us, comrades, however, is the fact of finances and money to respond to the legal challenges, but also for us to build a significant solidarity and a fight back campaign against Clover. We do need money. So those are the things that we've also been looking at, and we've started initiatives to raise funds and making appeals, also for us to sustain the strike. Because it's all well and good for us to say, to all make these statements to say that we are in solidarity with the workers, but the reality is that these workers also need financial support to take care of their responsibilities at home. So that is also an important aspect of the current campaign that we have. I'm not sure if I've missed anything out, and maybe Comrade Sibay can come in and add some of the missing, of whatever points that I've missed. Thank you, comrades.
Thank you very much, Comrade Abida. I'm going to give you just 5 minutes, Comrade Sibay. Please make sure that you stick to the 5 minutes if you have anything else to add.
Okay, thank you very much, Comrade Chairperson. Just briefly, I think so we can report that the agent, with an agent court application that was made by Clover has in a sense been dismissed, because remember, there is a court application that is made for tomorrow, but then before then, they lodged another court application on top of that agent court application this morning, saying that a court must issue an order that basically would compel us from suspending, or rather calling off a hashtag boycott Clover campaign. Now, tomorrow they are met. So tomorrow, beside all the other usual, interdict issues, the essence is that they want to declare the strike illegal and henceforth unprotected. Now, the court has moved all the matters. We can't wait until Friday. Now, I think, comrade, this is very important that they are getting disparate, and they are getting disparate because the campaign is certainly gaining momentum. It is clear from both the media coverage, but as well as just the response that we are getting both on social media and the mainstream media, that we have an overwhelming working class, and I would say even progressive middle class public opinion on our side. But I also think that in terms of the balance of forces inside the factory itself, this morning the workers that were going to work at Clayville, Rosso, Limpopo, and I do think in other outlets as well, they have come out. And part of the reason is that the company has withdrawn some of the benefits that they had given them as part of incentivizing them from engaging in strike breaking. So that is obviously strengthening us, and that is weakening them, because it basically means that we'll probably be now in a position to shut down Clayville and probably Polokwane, which are the main factories here in the north of the country. I do think, comrades, that over and above the fact that we are having over 100 comrades in this meeting who are pledging their support and solidarity, workers are determined to fight. It means that we are in a good place. As comrades would know, with the minister, but I think even before the meeting with the minister on Sunday, which was attended by myself on behalf of Giusa, the president of FAO, and was organized by General Secretary of SAPTU, Comrade Zwelinzima Vavi. Now, even before that, we had a meeting with the Office of the President in Union Building, where a commitment was made that basically we would be, government will start responding and engaging with us at a level no less than that of the minister. So in that sense, the occupation that took place at Union Building was a resounding success. We met with the minister on Sunday. The minister has committed that would be working with us in trying to preserve jobs, avoiding factory closures, and of course, even the savage cuts and other conditions that workers find unacceptable to continue. So I think, comrades, we are in a good place. Of course, that is not a reason for complacency. If anything, it is a reason for us to escalate. Now, one of the issues and questions that must face this meeting is, what are the perspectives for this strike in the days, in the weeks, and probably the month that comes? But also, are there tactics that we can employ that can seriously escalate? That is over and above the fact that we are receiving, an overwhelming support internationally in the US, number of comrades in UK, in Ireland, in Israel itself, in Palestine, and we have comrades from Palestine here. So basically across the world, comrades are in solidarity with us, and they are inspired by our commitment and internationalism, as well as working class solidarity with the oppressed people, of Palestine. And I think in a way that sharply poses a question of an international day of action against Clover that I think will be subject of this meeting. That, comrades, in a nutshell, is my report. Comrade John has just sent a message saying that they are in the chambers consulting lawyers to ensure that we vigorously oppose any attempt at abusing court to intimidate workers, as well as, of course, defeating this strike, having failed with all other methods thus far. Thanks, sir.
Okay, thank you, Comrade Zube. I see your hand is up, Comrade Abidi. You can come in again.
Yeah, no, Comrade, I just wanted to say, I see Comrade Cynthia is here, so perhaps maybe we can get from Fawu also contribution. I don't know.
Yes, please. Thank you. Comrade Cynthia, are you able to give us an update on the strike from FAU's side?
Good evening, all. I just walking now from the court side. My apology. The only thing I can indicate on thus far in a joint application for today's hearing proceeding with a labor court, it will then continue to proceed on Friday around that part, which the company raised some technical issues, which has nothing to do with the strike related in terms of the legality around that part. So the case will then presume on Friday. Remember, they wanted the proceeding to be opposed to then interdicted, so the strike becomes illegal in such a way that created more violence. So that did not assist with their blaming both unions on citing on the violence that is happening out there in the looting of stock. Remember, I think the intensification around workers and members and a society out there that it went through to supermarket to take out all the Clover products off the shelf. That was the outcry mainly because they're suing us to say that we are a contributing factor to that. So I think our campaign in that nutshell is really working out, is starting to frustrate them a hell of a lot. So with that, they could not proceed with the interdict, but the strike to be interdicted on that part, because you cannot blame solely FAU and Keusa as a responsibility respondent around that application. So the hearing will then commence and continue on Friday with the facts around there. So John will be the first person to stand on the stand to then the company can engage on, but they don't have a case on that one. Thank you. Sorry for joining late. I only managed to get in late because the meeting have reached a maximum capacity. So that's why I come to come up for myself to come in. And this is there's something else that I'm supposed to report on, but I thought maybe merely around the issue of this today's labor court proceeding in terms of the interdict. Thanks, Chair.
No, thank you very much, Comrade Cynthia. Sorry, I didn't realize that this account has maximum participants. We won't use it next time. But it's great that there's so many people here in solidarity with the Palestinian struggle, and of course in solidarity with Clover workers. Okay, so I think that's a very good update on what's been going on, and I'd just like to echo some of the sentiments that have been stated so far. This is a really important and significant struggle for a number of reasons. One of the important reasons is because it already has concretized the bonds between different organizations. So the two unions are working in solidarity. Activists against the oppression of the Palestinian people are working in solidarity, and we've had student movements, various working class formations have all come on board to support the strike. And we know that in order to really fight against austerity, fight against job losses and retrenchments, which seem to be on the rise, it's really the case that the ruling class, the capitalist elite, the bosses are trying to punish the working class for the crisis of capitalism, are trying to punish and scapegoat workers and ordinary poor communities to make sure that their system can continue, and that their wealth can be maintained in a minority of hands. So it's really important that we use this struggle as a springboard, one, that we win the struggle, but two, that we use it as a springboard for continued mobilization of working class formations acting in unity to fight against the what is likely to be ongoing attacks from the capitalist class. Okay, so Comrade Cynthia can come in, and I'm going to just go. So there's a national task team that's being created. Comrade Cynthia is part of it. John Paulus from Keusa and Andile from Keusa, they're part of it, but they're not here at the moment. We also have Comrade Mahfouz and Comrade Noor from the Palestinian Solidarity campaign, who are also part of the national task team. And we've been meeting, and we met recently to come up with some ideas of tasks and upcoming actions that we can take in solidarity with the workers. So I'll explain what those are in a minute, but I'll first just give Comrade Cynthia an opportunity to come in again, and then I'll come in. You have the floor, Comrade Cynthia.
Okay, thank you so much. I also want to indicate on Friday, while we get the labor code interdict application order against both unions, we also been called by CCMA for Section 150 for ways to find a way out both parties will resolve the settlement. So on Friday, we got that mission in terms of the CCMA head office. We will do the application, we will do the hearing of Section 150. Simultaneously, it's also the labor code. So myself and John will do the labor code, and Charles and somebody else from FAO will then deal with the matter in terms of the Section 150. But how will it correlate? I'm not too sure, but the commissioner has set up for 2 days, Friday and Saturday, to find parties to see if they can resolve each other around that part. But with the attitude of the CCMA, where they say the venue can only accommodate 12 people in terms of our boat union. So they engage a company, they can get a bigger venue to accommodate as many as possible, so we can find an amicable solution to have both parties to resolve the strike. But the company was more saying they prefer a virtual meeting on Friday instead of having a physical meeting contact, which we said we are not going to agree on that one. We can reduce our numbers, but we are not going to have a virtual meeting for something that is so sensitive at this point in time for all the workers. It's quite critical. So in my view, the company is still adamant. They don't seem to be optimistic to find a resolving around the entire strike, and rather to frustrate members out there. So that is my observation. Maybe I could be wrong, but the system has confirmed the Section 150 in their call to find a solution for both parties to see if they can try and resolve to end the strike. I just want to give that update as well. So it's two parallel lines, the labor code proceeding, including Section 150, in terms of how they can find a solution for both parties to resolve the strike at this point in time. I just wanted to also add that update on that one as well. So we have also mobilized members, also workers on strike, to be outside in numbers also outside the CCMA around the whole Section 150. I think that is why the company is proposing a virtual meeting rather having a contact meeting on that one. I just also want to give that update on that one. So it's running two parallels on that one. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you, Comrade Cynthia. Shall just it's the CCMA in Johannesburg?
It's in Johannesburg, at the head office of Johannesburg.
And what time is the case?
It's at 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. Okay. Thanks. Okay, comrades. So then I'm just going to go into our plans so far. These are still it's open for discussion. So the next item on the agenda, the next item on the agenda is an explanation of the upcoming actions, and then we'll get input from the comrade from the Palestinian Farmers Union, and then we'll have a discussion. Okay. So, but if the comrades from FAO and GUSA have anything else to add after I present what we've discussed, please do. Okay, you can just raise your hands, comrades. If you have on your phone, there should be a reactions button where you can raise your hand if you'd like to come in. Otherwise, you can write in the chat. Just say I would like to come in or something. So yeah, it's difficult for me to read the meeting the chat. So if you'd like to make a contribution, I suggest that you just do it vocally. Okay, so let me just share my screen so I can show you what we are doing. Right. So the idea is that we want to, as best as possible, unite the forces both from FAO and GUSA workers and also SAFTU affiliates, as well as all the different working class formations that recognize that the attack on Clover workers' attack on the working class more broadly, and is foreshadowing attacks that will be coming very soon. Also, who are working in solidarity with Palestinian, dispossessed Palestinian people. So the first upcoming action is the rally that's happening this Saturday, the 22nd of January at 9 a.m. The location is Cathedral of Christ the King Catholic Church. So it's on the corner of Smith and Nugget Street. And we really need to try and mobilize as best we can all our different organizations, all our different formations to join that meeting on Saturday. And the idea is that we'll have a meeting on what other actions we can take, get updates on what's happening with the strike, get updates on what's happening with the campaign, the boycott campaign, and we'll work on having a rolling mass actions after the meeting. So there's going to be a very big rally on the 22nd of January for everybody to attend. After the rally, we'll go to malls and shops that are stocking Clover products to paste the boycott Clover stickers and leaflet to raise awareness of the strike. So we've already gotten quite a lot of attention for that, but we're going to do that in an organized way after the rally on Saturday. Then we're going to use the rally as to springboard further action and mobilize for the National and International Day of Action, which will be the 27th of January 2022. We are imploring unions to release their shop stewards, to write to management and get shop stewards to be relieved for that day as part of their rights as shop stewards. And we want to draw together the strengths of workers and hold protest actions at the embassies of those multinational companies instituting job cuts and austerity measures. We'll also directly support the striking Clover workers at various locations where they are currently on strike. We'll also call on international comrades to hold protest actions either at South African or Israeli embassies abroad. So that's happening on the 27th. Okay, and our tasks from this meeting, from our rally on Saturday, is to mobilize for this national and international day of action, so that we can make sure that we send the biggest message to Clover, to the government to intervene, and to workers that they have our solidarity. And I just want to reiterate that we really are building towards working class unity, against austerity, against budget cuts, against retrenchments, against job losses all over, and against wage freezes all over in this country and in fact globally, attacks from the capitalist class. I'd also like to encourage comrades for the different mobilization activities, but also for the very survival of the Clover workers who have not been earning a wage as a result of the strike. And so the account details are there. I'll put it up at the end again. If you're from outside of South Africa, you can also contribute via PayPal using Worker Solidarity Fund at gmail.com. Otherwise, if you are in South Africa, you can just donate to Gurusa. Gurusa is holding the funds for now, but it's for the strike. So if you write strike support, they will make sure that money is used only for the strike. And we've also got a process of transparency around how the money is used. So they're giving us updates on what money is coming in and how it's being used. But it's basically all for the either the workers to be able to survive throughout the strike, and then also if there are minor resources that are needed, like pamphlets and stickers and so on, we'll use it for that. Okay, so so that's an update on the proposed actions. Okay, Comrade Abida is saying that she'll monitor the chat. Thank you so much. So then just raise your hand if you'd like to come in on anything from the chat. Okay, so those are the actions that the task team has proposed. I'll come in again. I'll come in and I'll show it again later on when we have the discussion. But before we go into a discussion, Comrade Cardle and Comrade Abida, I just would like to invite the comrade from Palestine to give their message of solidarity and give us an update on what they're doing, and then I'll open it up for discussion. Okay, so I don't see. Let me just see.
Hello, everyone. This is Zahia from the Palestinian Farmers Union.
Hi, comrade. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I have a short message from the Palestinian Farmers Union and from Palestine. So we would like to say that the Palestinian Farmers Union stands in solidarity with Clover. Every day, Palestinian farmers face Israeli occupation violations, especially in the Jordan Valley. This is in order to annex land in that area, and that Israeli settler attack livestock breeders and make it nearly impossible for them to graze their livestock. Some of these attacks include destroying land, physical violations against farmers, and other attacks to make it hard for them to go into their land and graze their livestock. And these Bedouin farmers, they live on what they produce. So they live on the milk, the cheese that they produce. So they make it nearly impossible for them to do that. And this destroys the Palestinian dairy sector, something that Clover is feeling the effects of right now. From Palestine, on behalf of our workers, farmers, and shepherds, we empathize our solidarity with Clover workers as you are striking against Israeli export of oppression and exploitation. We are on the front ground fighting the practices of the Israeli occupation through the steadfastness and supporting the resilience of our farmers all across the West Bank and Gaza. And thank you all.
Thank you so much, Comrade Zahia. I hope that's right. Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting to realize that, and it supports my point that this is a multinational company that is oppressing workers both in Palestine and in South Africa. And it's I mean, South Africa has a long history of solidarity with the Palestinian cause, and to see directly how Clover is both oppressing and exploiting and harassing farm workers in Palestine, and doing exactly the same thing here. It's really great that you've come to this meeting, and we really appreciate your message of support. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm going to, I see 4 messages in the chat. Yeah, so comrade from the BDS South African Coalition is saying, we're proud to stand with you against occupation and Israeli apartheid in Palestine and South Africa, Amandla. And I would just like to echo that. Thank you very, very much. We definitely stand in solidarity with you. Okay, so I am now going to ask if people have joined and not written their names in the chats, just to introduce themselves. Oh, I see Comrade Andile is here from GUSA. So I don't know if you want to give us an update on what's happened with the court case, or Comrade Cynthia, is yours the most recent? Otherwise, comments can also come in on the chat and I mean in the discussion. So just to focus the discussion a little bit, definitely we welcome messages of solidarity with the workers, and we hope that they are watching and participating in this meeting. But we'd really like to focus on the practical plans for what we need to be doing in the next coming weeks to support this struggle, both in solidarity with the workers and also in solidarity with Palestinian workers. So if you can consider, the practical methods and contributions your organization can make or you can make in building the stack, mobilizing for our different events, and perhaps you have other ideas of things that we can do, and you're welcome to share that too. Okay, so I'm going to ask Comrade Cardle to come in, and then Comrade Abida. That was the order of the hands before, but comrades are welcome to raise their hands also, or you can write your name in the chat just that you want to speak, so that I know. Okay, thanks, comrades. Comrade Cardle, you have.
Thank you very much, comrades. I would like to express my human solidarity on behalf of Kasavu with the people of Palestine. We standing in solidarity with them. Yes, comrades, from Kasavu point of view, we must ask ourselves the question, did we want to lose the strike or whether we want to win the strike? And we cannot afford to lose the strike. That will have serious implications if we lose the strike. Serious for the entire dairy industry. So this strike is not only a Clover strike. That is a dairy bosses unite against the dairy workers. So comrades, Kasavu have acted very swiftly. Last week, we hear that the company Clover want to put a big order in Ladysmith cheese in the Southern Cape. They want Ladysmith workers to scab against the workers of Clover. That is basically what the bosses want. The bosses don't care. And we basically spent 3 days to mobilize our workers and tell our workers that they must not produce anything for Clover. So they place a big order. They want powder, they want butter, they want cheese. So they are in trouble. They are very desperate. And we piling the pressure, and we stop it. So the company have now put this order on hold. We immediately act, comrades. And that is what we expect from all the SAFTU unions. The SAFTU unions cannot be silenced. The SAFTU unions must speak out. Why is the SAFTU union so silent when there is a war out against our people there? So that is one thing. We basically, and I also want the permanent shop steward, we basically stop the Ladysmith cheese to produce anything for Clover. We stop them. And we notify the company that fall under the definition of a secondary strike. If you force our workers to produce anything for Clover, we will then send you a notice. We will send notice of a secondary strike. So that is what we expect from our unions. That is what we expect that is the kind of solidarity. We cannot make only statements, make pronouncement, and nothing happen. So from Kasavu point of view, that we also want all the unions, that the unions, SAFTU unions must commit them to make a financial contribution. I think that we must discuss a financial contribution. We also discuss amongst our members to make a contribution. So we mobilize funding in contributions amongst our workers. But it's very important that the unions commit themselves to make a financial contribution. You see, those workers, a parent talk about 8 weeks. It's about 12 weeks now. It's the 3rd month that those workers is without the incomes. Those workers have family, they have livelihoods, and it's very, very difficult to strike 3 months, comrades, without the income. It's very difficult. And we must now, everyone must come out in support. So I can assure the workers of, the workers of Clover, Kasavu will not scab. Kasavu will do anything in their disposal to ensure that we don't make statements, that we coming out in support, that we will walk hand in hand with the workers of Clover. That is the commitment that we can make from COSATU's side. COSATU is also will have a ballot. The company has forced out for a ballot there by Mooivallei. They impose workforce in Mooivallei. The union declare a dispute, and in the next day of two, we will have a ballot. So we will also come out in support against workforce, against labor brokers that they want to impose in Mooivallei, and in Mooivallei is in Bonneville, and then Ladysmith Cheese is in Ladysmith in the Southern Cape. But I can just assure comrades of our commitment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Comrade Carol. Viva Revolutionary COSATU, viva. Some great commitments there, and I see many of the leadership have of the unions that are on strike are here now. So you're very welcome, comrades. Thank you for joining. Comrades will also see that if you're getting requests for people to join the meeting but they're not able to, they're also able to live stream it on the Salam Media YouTube channel, as well as on Facebook on the SAFTU Facebook page. It's being streamed. I've put the link on the chat, so please do share that in your different social media feeds on WhatsApp and so on. Okay, so I'm gonna be putting the order of the speaker list in the chat too, so that people can follow. Next we've got Comrade Abida, then Comrade Ndimiso, Comrade Andile, Comrade Atwell, and then Comrade Holani. Comrade Abida, you have the floor.
Thanks, Comrade Farron. So, Comrade, earlier on in the chat, there was a question raised. I think it's the Witzenberg Justice Coalition about pamphlets. We do actually have a general pamphlet, but I think given the new developments and the International Day of Action, we probably just have to make some amendments and changes to that pamphlet, because I think it will be important that we actually include that. And what we are working on here in Cape Town at the moment is to, because we have had some commitment from some organizations to say that, you know, they can possibly help us also with whatever we need. So I'm going to explore that tomorrow. So we're going to try to print at least 20,000 pamphlets, which is not a lot given the amount of work that we have to do. But at least at a minimum, if we can have 20,000 pamphlets and then start giving that to different communities and sharing it with the different unions so that we can continue with our mobilization work. I think that is very important that we do that. But then also I wanted to talk about the rally that is going to be on Saturday. Actually, if we can see whether we can have a similar thing, I'm not sure, with the technology, whether that is possible, that we also again link up comrades from the different regions, and then it's not limited just to Cape Town in this time, but actually that we also try, especially in the communities where the workers are also on strike, and because sometimes workers also feel very isolated, and for the workers to be part, or even for the communities to be part, even if it's virtually, it does actually build in terms of the morale of the workers as well. So I think that is important, that we have to explore that as well. But then what I also wanted to say is that in Cape Town, we have actually formed a fundraising team, because we are looking at, and we've started with the investigation already, because we would like to have an open air event, probably around the 12th of February, where we want to raise at least 50,000 rands. This is going to be a massive thing that we are planning, but it does look possible. We're just waiting for confirmation of the venue, and we're looking at having at least 1,000 people at this fundraising event. And we're talking about things like Jive Against Apartheid, Israel, and support the striking workers, etc. So we will have authors and music, etc., etc. So that is what we are looking at, because what is really, really important, comrade, for us to sustain this. Because what we need not to do is that once we have settled this dispute with Clover, we cannot stop the solidarity action that we have to do with the Palestinian, because this is part of the struggle that I'd raised in the past, that once we have a dispute around wages with Clover, we talk about the solidarity with the Palestinian people, and the minute that has been settled, we forget about that. So this is not, besides just raising funds to support our members, but it's also funds to sustain the campaign in terms of the solidarity work that we need to do with the Palestinian people. Thanks, comrade.
Thank you, Comrade Abida. Comrade Ndemiso.
No, thank you, Chair. Yes, comrades, I do want to offer a word of solidarity and also to highlight a few things that can be done going forward. I think it'll be very important to ensure that more actions take place, particularly having more picket lines wherever possible and secondary strikes wherever possible. And I think we should start working towards having factory occupations as a way for us to exert even more pressure on the company. And again, with secondary strikes, I mean, it would be good to try and link up the Clover workers with workers who are also working at SAB. I'm not sure if our comrades can be able to assist with that. But in general, we do need to have commitments towards having secondary strikes. For example, the comrades from Sakau mentioned that they managed to mobilize their members. I think we have to continue in that same vein, because it's very important to make the point that this is not just a strike that covers only Clover workers. Yes, the Clover workers' demands are very important, and also we have to keep in mind that the company that is exploiting Clover workers is also oppressing people in Palestine. But this is also a struggle, to save the dairy industry in South Africa. We have seen for example, we've seen what multinational corporations did to various industries in other countries in Africa, for example, in Zimbabwe, where different companies came in to mine, for example, in the mining sector, where they would mine, but they would also get deals with government which were not in the interest of the working class. So this is a very important struggle, and we have to take it, we have to escalate it as far as possible. And also our comrades in the international socialist alternative have also committed to have actions across the world at different embassies, South African embassies, as well as comrades who have committed to having pickets outside of, I think it's Coca-Cola in I think Israel or Palestine. So we need to just make the point that this is a struggle which can only be won through working class solidarity. Yes, thank you, comrades.
Thank you, Comrade Ndemiso. I'm just going to share my screen again, because before everybody else comes in, I just want to perhaps give some guiding questions for the discussion. So what we need to be thinking of, practically speaking, is for the rally on Saturday, which shops or malls will we target on Saturday? So perhaps comrades can think about what would make most sense in terms of where they're going to be, where they stay, or where the organizations are based or formations are based. So please consider where you think you can mobilize people to target for the boycott Clover stickers and leafleting, and who can we mobilize? Who in this meeting can mobilize for the rally on Saturday? So how many people can you bring, or how can you work towards mobilizing for the rally and then for the targeted actions after the rally? Then again, which organizations or formations can we mobilize for the day of action on the 27th of January? Where will we target our actions on that day? And then a very important aspect is, and comrades, you don't have to come in if you don't want to speak, but you can put it in your chat. Is there anybody, all the different formations, who can pledge, or individuals, activists, who can pledge financial or resource support for the strike? So at the meeting in Cape Town, we had a financial appeal. We asked comrades to consider pledging whatever money they can afford to the strike. So if you are available, you are able to support either financial support or perhaps resource support, so transport or printing facilities, or whatever it is that you think you can support, please do write in the chat. And that often leads to quite a lot of momentum in building for in our fundraising activities. So I'd like us to I'm going to leave the screen on so that comrades can think about practically what are we going to do, what are the next steps that we're going to take. And then if there are other things that you want to come in on, that's fine too, but these are our priorities for this meeting. Okay, so next we have sorry, I've lost track. Oh, Comrade Andile. Comrade Andile from GIWUSA, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I just wanted to emphasize the point made by Comrade Carol. And I'm saying that when we are discussing here, I think we must not lose sight of the fact that at the bottom, these workers are engaging, they are being attacked, and the question of solidarity is quite important. And as GIWUSA would like to salute COSAO, is their talk goes with actions. And we're saying that the same, I think, should be happening with the other unions which we have identified, NUMSA, because if you take, for example, in Clayville, we have a supplier. We have a supplier that is right next to those comrades of Clayville, which we can go to and speak to those workers directly because they are keen. So I think it's important for the support organizations to demonstrate active support, because if that is not the case, what we are going to do, we are going to go directly. And the shop stewards, I've long been keen, and we have been waiting for leadership to be able to connect. And the shop stewards are there and they say they are ready. So I think the question of active, practical support, especially on the unions in SAFTU and unions like SACAU, is going to be crucial. Because that, as comrades have indicated, that on the cheese level, on the butter level, Clover is struggling. We went to court today. In the court, that is their plea in the court, that there is damage that is happening. And to us, although the matter is continuing on Friday, that means we need to up our actions. And they are desperate to interdict the strike. Because now what they are doing, they are targeting individuals. If we take what has happened in the Western Cape, Comrade Abida, in Gauteng, is John. So they are focusing on the individuals. And it's important, and they do state that they are being hurt all over. And I think we need to intensify that. So I think the practical support, which, as Carol has said, Comrade Carol, is what I think we need. I mean, if we're not getting through the leadership, I think we must go to the ground, because the workers are exposed to some of these things and they are fully supporting the cause. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Com. Okay. So, sorry, comrades, it's really difficult for me to. Okay. What? Who's speaking?
Sorry, Chair, there's just one issue I need to highlight, okay, which we were confronted with in the court today, is that there are elements who are pretending and who are opposing this strike and wanted to kill this strike. But that we've dealt with the lawyers who claim to be representing the Clover workers. And we have raised that with the Clover workers. As we were in court, the workers have been discussing that. So there are those elements, but as I say, we will deal with them. And we will drastically deal with them as soon as, I think, after Friday, even if it's not before. We just need to indicate that that there are other forces that are conniving with Clover in order to, because what they were hoping for today is that they were claiming that some of us, myself, Abida, John, are not legitimate. But the judges told them that's not the matter he's interested in, and that is not in front of the court. So there's more other factors of other people who are playing counter-revolutionary roles, and I think that must also be looked at. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Comrade Andile. Before I go on to the next speaker, I'd just like to thank comrades from, what are you again? Keep Left, Socialism from Below, I think. Yeah, Keep Left, who says that they're able to provide printing facilities for more leaflets. Thank you so much. Is there anybody else who's able to provide resource support for the strike? At the last meeting, I pledged 200 Rand to the Solidarity Fund, which I'm yet to pay. I'll pay it after this meeting, I just remembered. Is there anybody else that's able to pledge support, either financial or resource? Perhaps the paper. Great. Comrade Rob has pledged 500 Rand. Anybody else? Great. Comrade Alex has pledged 200
Can you
Rand.
ask the comrades to do it in the chat, because then we can keep a record of it, because you can just save the chat and you can follow up with the comrades even afterwards, please.
Perfect. Yes. So I'll keep making financial appeals throughout the meeting, and consider, you know, what the workers have been going through. They've gone so Comrade Cardle corrected me. So it's 12 weeks that they've been on strike, and that means that 12 weeks of not getting a salary. So if you can think about maybe what it is that you earn for one day, divide your salary by 30 after tax, whatever, and see what it is that you earn for one day, and perhaps donate that one day's salary to the strike fund. That will be of great assistance to these workers. Yes, okay. So we'll move on to the next speaker, and you can just put your pledges in the chat. Sorry, I've lost track. Oh, Comrade Xolani, the General Secretary of Thorn. You can come in, Comrade.
Evening, comrades. On our side, comrades, there's nothing much because comrades have covered us. But what we strongly believe is that maybe we should do something also here in KZN, because it can't be just a smaller part of the comrades or activists which are interested maybe in trying to pledge solidarity with Clover Striking and workers through action. I'm saying this because, comrades, the reason of what we have observed since the strike commenced is that it has been, there's been dominant actions have been taking places in Western Cape and Johannesburg, but I strongly believe that in order for us to win this battle, it has to be that all the left-wing movements are participating in all provinces. Just to mention something, last week we had a problem yet, because it's when we saw that there was no action that is being taken place here in KZN, and yeah, there were comrades which were striking from the side, but the initiative of boycotting Clover products, we had to have gone to use our resources, our funds, in order to try and go to certain malls here to make public aware of what is transpiring or what is happening in Clover. So what I'm pleading here is that can we maybe get more of the actions also here in KZN, and I would suggest Japan specifically. That's what I was going to propose. Thanks.
Thank you, Comrade Kholani. Yes, there definitely needs to be there's a lot of activity in KZN as far as I understand. And I know you haven't been able to meet today with the task team. So perhaps we need to organize that meeting as soon as possible with the different organizations in the supply chain, the different unions in the supply chain. So I will assist with organizing that meeting, and make sure that there's activity in all the different provinces. But Comrade Kholani, if you're willing to be part of a KZN task team, I can connect you with the other comrades that are available, or that are busy working in that province already. So you can message me or that in the chat if you're willing to be part of that task team. Comrades, we've already, with the pledges that have come in, we've already raised over 2,000 Rand. Thank you so much, everybody who's already pledged. We encourage everybody who hasn't pledged to keep thinking about what it is that you can sacrifice maybe for this month to add to the Solidarity Fund, to the Strike Fund, and to the mobilization that we're going to be doing, ongoing in support of the Palestinian struggle. And the farm workers in Palestine are also being targeted by this exact same company. So and the Israeli forces that have occupied Palestine territory. So so please do consider, every little bit counts. If you can only donate 50 Rand, if you can only donate 100 Rand, that's totally fine. But consider what it is that you can sacrifice, since the workers have sacrificed so much. Then I'd also like us to focus again on, perhaps we'll start with Saturday's action. So who can mobilize for people who's coming on Saturday, who can mobilize on Saturday, and then think about what stores you want to target. Let's try and organize ourselves now in this meeting. Where are we going? Are we going to we're going to be in Berea and Hillbrow. So maybe some of us go to Carlton Center, some of us go to Killarney, some of us go to I don't know the other areas. Sorry, I'm not from Johannesburg. But in Cape Town, if there's going to be a meeting in Cape Town, maybe people go to Salt River, people go to Observatory, people go to Rylands, Boycott, and so on. So think about where it is that we can go for these different actions. Get the stickers, get the pamphlets, and let's really make it a big show of action on Saturday. Okay, great. I see you, Comrade Kholani. I will organize that for you. So next we've got Comrade. Oh, did I miss Comrade Atwell? Sorry, Comrade Atwell. I've missed you. My apologies. It's you can come in now.
No, thanks, my leader. One actually was to actually appreciate all the formations that have just joined. Really, they show that they are with us in this solidarity with these workers. But actually, what is fundamental and critical is that this is a do or die kind of a strike that these workers are in. Maybe, sorry, just to inform the comrade, I'm the president of FAO, and we are also now confronted. One comrade asked, maybe on the solidarity part, which if we ask actually SA breweries to be part, yes, but we look at that on a legality and so on. We've got no problem. No members wants to join, but these legal land things are creating problems. But we also look at the value chain in terms of Clover, which are the farms and so on, in terms of mobilization and secondary strike and so on. We'll look at those areas very seriously. But what is critical here, you see, we must look beyond actually what is going on within only this Clover and Melco, because this company, we want to take it back to Israel. It must go back wherever it comes from. The intention with these capitalists are to destroy our own industries. And under the current situation where we are faced with huge unemployment in the country, it's not just a struggle which is facing us at Clover. SA Breweries is also on the pipeline. Workers are voting there because of also the reduction of their salary by 20%. And then other industries will come in as well. We are facing a huge struggle, which that struggle is not only the struggle of ourselves, it needs actually the solidarity with communities, because this country is not addressing actually the critical issues of unemployment, poverty, and so on, which now is an issue that must be taken by the left in terms of addressing all these issues, because we are on our own now and we cannot depend to anybody. We have to face this struggle head on in terms of changing the balance of forces within this country. They will start with Clovers, but we must pursue the struggle going forward. That's the only part which I wanted to raise, my leader. And I know we don't have monies, and we are asking this donation because we're only living with subscriptions, and really appreciate what you are doing, Karen, in terms of asking whoever that can really assist in terms of maybe putting something in the kitty. We really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Comrade President. We're getting more and more pledges of support. Thank you so much, comrades. Please do consider what kind of support you can give, but also, I mean, it doesn't always have to be financial support. If you have access to printing or transport, or perhaps you're able to mobilize people to come to our rally, or to come to the National Day of Action. And then I see Comrade Altaf says Killarney, Rosebank, and Sandton will mean that we'll be able to get lots of media coverage. So perhaps we can have comrades decide on which area you'd like to focus on, and we can create teams. We'll also work on it on Saturday, but it's something that we need to start thinking about now. How are we going to organize it? And then, of course, in Cape Town as well, I'm pretty sure we can do a live stream thing again. But you're welcome to give your input on where you'd like to go, or if you'd like to meet, and so on. Okay, who's next? Sorry, I've totally lost track. I have a list somewhere.
So just me, Comrade Daule.
Oh, okay, thanks. Go ahead, Comrade Daule.
Yeah, thanks, Comrade Theron. Yeah, before I start, Comrade, I just wanted to get clarity for the position of the Free State in terms of the strike, because we do have a Clover in Free State at Bloemfontein. But now, what is their position in terms of this strike, the national strike of Clover workers? Are they not in strike or in strike? Because I've been actually asking in the main group that what is the position of the workers of Clover in the Free State, so that we know, because we've been struggling to get hold of any of them. And then another thing, that there's the Goldfield Community Forum in the Free State, what we can do, because now Free State, I can see there are no actions and the like. What we can do on the 27th, we can go to the city of Welcome and picket, and then do the translating, and then the campaign and the like, because now we are not having so much with regard to the strike of Clover workers in the Free State. Thanks, Elko.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Comrade Taule. I'm not 100% sure what's happening in Free State, so maybe Comrade Andile or Abida can come in on that. Then in terms of going to a picketing and doing something, I think that will be very, very good. And I'm taking a note of that. Okay, Comrade, is it Ranwin or Ranwan? Are they still here?
Good evening, comrades.
Oh,
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm Comrade Ranwan Rademeier, working at Ladysmith Cheese and a proud member of Kasavu. Comrade Carlos says a lot, and I think I want to be short. You see, there was a big delegation on Tuesday. On Monday, they come to Ladysmith Cheese to sign some documents and contracts so that we can do Clover work. And our members and ourselves, we have a lot of meetings and we refuse to do that scab labor for Clover. You see, because now they are threatening us with refusal of a lawful instruction. But that doesn't confuses our plans. We still say to them we refuse to work for Clover, and that's why they step aside. You see, I just want my contribution. Just want to say I see a lot of things that going in the urban areas, and the things that you target. But I want to ask for the stars team to just listen for a moment. We must see the boss's eyes are on the outcome. The boss's eyes are on the outcome of this strike. And you know what they want to do? They want to destroy unionism. They want to destroy unionism, and that's why they don't want unions anymore on the workplaces. We must see this for the future. They don't want unions to fight for our people. You see, and we refuse to work for Clover. And I want to ask us, we must combine our struggles. You see, like I said earlier on, and I think Comrade Greg, the early meeting that we have, he said you must send a small delegation. I want you to send maybe a bigger delegation to the rural areas. We can't just have the rallies in the urban areas. We must bring it to the rural areas, because in the rural areas, like in Ladysmith, like in George, like in Riversdale, Bonnievale, this is the places where they make a lot of cheese. This is where the big factories are. So if you can give send a big delegation of this Clover Strike people to come to the rural areas and we can have a rally here. You see, so that Parmalat can see, like Talas can see, our workers stand together, so that the other unions. I think Favu is here at Lactalis. I see the other unions that is in South today. At the big factories here in the rural areas. So my plea is tonight that we must take it further onto the rural areas, not just there in the cities to do the things. The thing is here, it is here on the farm. It is here on the rural areas where it begins. So I ask you people, they want to destroy us. They're threatening us now at Ladysmith Cheese because we refuse to make butter. We refuse to make their cheese. We refuse to produce them of this milk powder. So we want you to come to the rural areas, you see, and come and help us here so that we can extend this struggle. You see, because now my concern is we are going a bit slow, comrades. My personal experience in, we want some pamphlets. We want to go to door, and when we already began with fundraising on our members, and also we are going to the community to come and help us with the struggle, and we target the big shops like USAFE and Spar here in the rural area. So we want also you just, my please, come in and bring the rally to the rural area where the factories are, where the big factories are. Where the cheese, where we make the cheese, and we make a lot of cheese, and they make a lot of money here. And Sea Harvest is one of the biggest companies here in South Africa. See, they want to buy out the whole dairy industry, and they're gonna get it right because they have talks with Lactalis. You see, they have a lot of talks. So I want you, please, if those people are gonna take over the dairy industry, we are going to be in serious trouble. But my last thing I want to repeat is the boss's eyes are on the outcome of this strike, and they want to destroy unionism. Bear that in mind, comrades. Thank you.
Amazing. And I think everybody in this meeting salutes the comrades of Ladysmith Cheese. Your solidarity is exceptional, and you are leading, and I hope that the other unions who are in this meeting, who are watching on the live stream, take note and take heed, and also support this this strike as much as you have. I see in the chat comrades are saying that if there's a 7 days notice, I'm not familiar with the legislation, but I think it's 7 days notice. Then you're able to do a secondary strike if you're in the same. If you can, I think it's if you're in the same supply chain, or I'm trying to find the message. But anyway, if anybody else knows about that better than me, please come in on that. Beautiful. Okay. So, Comrade Sasha, then Comrade Juleka, Andile, and Abida. Go ahead. Oh, just to remind you again, we're still waiting for pledges from all the other comrades who are in the meeting. There are 83 people in the meeting currently. If everybody gives 100 Rand, we'll have 8,300 Rand. So consider, please do consider giving a donation. Thanks. Next speaker, Comrade Sasha.
Thanks, Con. Yeah, there are a couple of things I maybe just want to add to the discussion. I think, one thing is when we're talking about, the strikers have been on strike for a period of 18 days, we're maybe erasing a little bit the history of struggle in relation to Clover, which has existed pretty much, I think definitely documented since the 1970s. But the point is that Clover has always been a massively exploitative company. And both the ways in which it was established, the ways in which it continues to perpetuate colonial power, are really a symbol of what capitalist oppression is in this world. And we know that the tactics for capitalist oppression in South Africa are well honed. We know that there's a lot of collaboration between an oppressive Israeli state and South Africa, since apartheid, on techniques of oppression. So, I want to just mention as well, in 2020, Kilson Manaka was killed at a peaceful protected Clover Strike. So workers are brutally oppressed when they do try to mobilize for their rights, and someone has already lost their life in this struggle. So, really when we say do or die, it is do or die when people are already dying, never mind having to live a living death where they have to socially reproduce the capitalist system. So that might be a bit of a babble, but the point is that this is not only the fight for a better South Africa, this is the fight for a different world, comrades. And Com Ferrin began and opened the discussion speaking about the context of rising austerity globally. Globally, we are seeing the techniques of oppression increasing, and with austerity, it means that cuts are kind of outsourced to the workers, so that the company doesn't have to experience losses. So it's those who get the least who experience the most suffering, rather than the alternative we want to see, where everyone is recognized as human, where all workers are recognized as worthy of dignity and respect. So also just to make a strong mention of, in terms of global solidarity, we really have to be bolstered that this is an incredible moment of united working class solidarity. And just to remind comrades, that this international solidarity is also African solidarity. We've had the Zimbabwean Solidarity Network pledge funds to the Clover Strike Fund. We've had the mine workers in Namibia pledging solidarity. I see in the chat here we have the Congress of Unions of Swaziland. And I think that this is a really important point to make as well, because just today we were seeing examples of rising xenophobia. And I know that this is something that is on the increase. I want to make a very strong point that an injury to one is an injury to all. The working class does not want, the capitalist class does not want to see the working class united, because the working class united is the most powerful scientific tool for revolution. We are employing that tool by uniting the struggles and seeing that my oppression is the same oppression as someone else's. So I would love to see, in relation to the International Day of Action that Comrade Bay was mentioning, maybe discussions or panels or spaces where some of the union busting tactics that all workers are facing globally are connected to the Clover struggles. I think it's really important to firmly place the struggle within the global context, which includes the African context and the solidarity that's been building there. I also just want to say, I think that the points on the rural areas and also points I want to make, I love you too much too, my darling, which is that I have to apologize and leave after I give this input because I'm battling to juggle childcare. But this is relevant because a feminist, oppression of women is also a part of the struggle. Certain people are expected to reproduce this capitalist system either by being the bearers of austerity measures, or, for example, where women have to be the majority in terms of doing care work and work in the house and reproducing the workers for the factory bosses. So, I just really want to say, solidarity and strength, and, it's incredible to be a part of this international struggle for building working class solidarity. And yes, I really just want to see this movement addressing some of the structural barriers of oppression, because this is world making. We are creating alternative worlds. And if that means looking at how to support women in the struggle by looking at their burden of care work, or looking at structural segregation and ensuring that we reach the rural areas, really prioritizing unity of the working class. Viva comrades.
Thank you, Comrade Sasha. Okay, Comrade, I think it's Andile next.
Yes.
Sorry if I'm okay.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I just want to follow on one issue that Comrade Ronwen raised, is around the issue of widening and assisting in what I would assume is the Southern Cape areas, where I think the comrade referred to. I think one of the issues, and I'm saying on the pamphlets, PSA is doing stickers. Now, I think in the National Team Committee, I think the issue of pamphlets, we can arrange that so that those are sent down to the comrades. And I think what is going to be important, especially, I think we need to draw in structures and create building organization in these places. And for me, what is going to be important, and that goes for us all over, is to meet with the churches, the students, because the students, even COSAs, try and set up meetings with them to build, as a part of us building organizations in these areas. So my suggestion is that, even in the rural areas, is Comrade Ronwan them can start to bring together those different aspects of the working class and have meetings. We can then, I think, upon as the national task team, see how we can assist, how we can provide, and if there's a call for people to come and speak, that can be arranged even with the shop stewards, I think, in the different plants. I just want to answer the issue of Free State. Comrades, in terms of Free State, Bloemfontein, let me put it, Bloemfontein. Now, Bloemfontein is not out. And the reason Bloemfontein is not out is because Bloemfontein has been advised by the employer in Bloemfontein that Bloemfontein is not affected of any of these things. No salary cuts, no non-increases, no retrenchments. So that's why Bloemfontein is out. But I'm not saying for the comrades in Bloemfontein not to try and see whether they can't draw them. Because yesterday, one of the issues that led to the shooting of the comrades in Clayville was that all the scabs, Amakundwane, all of them came out. And when they came out, well, there are reasons that the company was no more protecting them. It was no more giving them transport. The same happened in KZN. Now they are part of the strike, which led to our members being shot yesterday. But that is part of our court papers, which I think we're dealing with the lawyers. But I'm saying that it's going to be important for those comrades in Bloemfontein. They must mobilize those comrades that even if you're affected or you're not affected, people are coming out. And I think the same should apply to those comrades. Thank you, Chair.
Andile, Comrade Abida, then Comrade Tibet, then Comrade Judeka.
Yeah, thank you, Comrade Chair. I've got a few things. So, especially with regards to mobilization, what we are actually planning, I think that the rallies and, going to the stores to put on the labels, etc., that is important. But also actually having, as other comrades had raised, is the issue around community solidarity action. For example, what we're planning to happen either Friday or Monday morning is the community, the Bishop Lavis Action Community, which is right next to the Clover here in Cape Town. We are actually going to have, during the peak hour, we're going to have a protest on the main street leading to Clover. So that kind of action is also equally important. And the other things I wanted to raise, comrades, is that, so what we had discovered here in the Western Cape, there's one of these owners who, for example, he owns 7 spas and his franchises, they do not store. They do not stock Clover products for more than a year now already. So what we should also explore is to actually engage with traders, etc., etc. It's perhaps not the big ones, the Pick n Pays and the Checkers, because it will be very difficult. But for example, in the past in the Western Cape, we had the Western Cape Traders Association. So I'm following up with them because I think it's important also that we get them on board and say, don't stock Clover products. In addition to us going to the stores and removing the Clover products, etc., from the shelves, we must also look at those kind of actions. And then with regards to the kind of solidarity, yes, we do need the financial solidarity and others, but I think we're also needing some skills, comrades. We need support, especially when it comes to media and these kind of things. If, for example, we're thinking about the International Day of Action for the 27th of January, and if we want to create, for example, a Twitter storm and all these kind of things, we are also going to need that kind of expertise. So we do need different skills from comrades. Yes, in addition to your financial support, we also need that kind of practical support to assist us with sometimes very short periods of time as we need turnaround with regards to writing a statement, producing a pamphlet, and we don't necessarily always have the time or the capacity because also, especially for Gehusa and FAU, most of our resources at the moment is focused on Clover, but we also have other members and other work that we need to cover. So that also needs to be taken into consideration. So I just wanted to highlight that, comrade, that we should also not forget about those things that we need. And the final thing, comrades, we must, this is something that we've been a bit slow in the Western Cape, but we must get also the faith communities on board. I'm still waiting to get the meetings, for example, with the MJC and also with the, here in Cape Town would be the St. George's Cathedral, etc., because those are the constituencies that is important in terms of the work that we need to do. Thanks, comrades.
Okay, thank you, Comrade Abida. I'm going to just share my screen one more time. I'd like to again ask comrades who haven't yet pledged solidarity in terms of financial support or resource support, to really consider that we need as much money as possible. If everybody can give 50 Rand in our group, then we've raised 4,500 in this meeting alone. So please do consider what it is that you can contribute. From the discussion so far, I'm just trying to take notes to see where, so that we can get some practical outputs from this meeting. So there've been suggestions that we have on Saturday in Gauteng, targeted actions in Killarney, Sandton, Rosebank. I've added Emmarintia and Lenasia because those are very Muslim areas, or there's a large Muslim community in those areas who I think would feel strongly about the Palestinian struggle in general. So I think that's something that we can consider. I'd like us to think about where in the Western Cape we can have similar kinds of targeted actions on Saturday. Then there's the Black Action, the Bishop Lavis Action Committee is having their picket, which is excellent. Then I've got on the International Day of Action, just considering that perhaps we will go to my proposals is we go to the Israeli embassy in Pretoria, perhaps Clayville and City Deep picket lines in Johannesburg or in Gauteng. And then there's the Bloemfontein Solidarity picket. So those comrades will need flyers and some support. Then I'd like us to really consider Comrade Ronwin's proposal or suggestion, and also the question around Witzenberg, the Justice Coalition, who's able to go to those areas, perhaps comrades in the Western Cape, who have the capacity to support a rally there, or picketing, or door-to-door activities. How can we reach these rural areas, and who's able to go? So I'd like us to think about that. And then so Gauteng, Western Cape, Bloemfontein, and then KZN also, there'll be some activities in KZN, but I think the best people to talk about that are the comrades who are in KZN. I know FAO has a large membership in KZN, so maybe the comrades from FAO can give us some input on that. Okay, if I've missed anything, you can also come into on the chat to just tell me what I've missed, or raise your hand and speak if I've missed something. Okay, so thank you so much. I see Marxist Workers' Party has pledged another 500 Rand. I'd like communists to really consider, maybe you individually you can only pledge 10 Rand, but as a community or as a group, all the 10 Rands together can make 100 Rand. So really consider what it is that we can do. Yes, and so we have some stickers. I see I'm not sure who it was, but somebody donated 40,000 or printed 40. Comrade Firoza, I think, said that they've donated stickers. It would be great to have even more stickers. Talking about why people should boycott Clover, and I'm sure many people don't know that they're owned by an Israeli company in the occupied territory. So that, I think that would be very good for them to know. Okay, so maybe there are other people that can also donate stickers. So think about what it is that you can do, and I'll hand back over to you, comrades. So next we've got, I'm just hoping I'm doing it in the right order. Apologies if I've gone in the wrong order, but I'm just going down from the top now. Comrade Sibey, then Comrade Juleka, then Comrade Patrick from FAO, and then Comrade Karel again from Kasau. Okay, Comrade Sibey, you have the floor.
Yes, I do think we should be thinking about going towards closure at some point. But there's just 3 issues I want to touch. One is to, just echo points that were made by comrades, both from Kasavu, but also Comrade Sasha, because what Comrade of Kasavu said is quite correct, actually, because the reality, comrades, is that at least on our part as leadership of Giusa, of FAO have recognized that, Clover is where we ought to draw the line. But I think, that means that, we can only try our best with the limited results that we have. But I think with the support and solidarity of all the comrades that are here, we stand far better chance of winning. The reality is that if we do win in Clover to stop factory closures and job losses, I cannot see how the workers at SAB, the workers at Petro SA, the workers in many companies which are facing either closures, either restructuring that result in job losses would accept anything less than the kind of decisive action that we should compel, I think, of government to ensure that this is brought to an end. And I think our cause in terms of what ought to happen is clear in this meeting. There's no need to repeat it. Now, I also think that it is also very clear to us in terms of what does it really mean if we lose? Because I think the xenophobic attacks that you are seeing and that are growing in numbers, but also in terms of support in Soweto and so on, but also from the mainstream parties, which all of them now are joining, from the ANC, Action, South Africa, Working Action, something of Mashaba, the Patriotic Alliance, and of course now the EFF, means that really, if we are to fail, and in the context of the deepening crisis of unemployment, of poverty, this may very well be the future, at least in the next coming days and weeks, if not a feature of the period that lies ahead, which, of course, would be a period of even greater desperation than the one that we have seen in the past years, given the astronomical numbers of people that are in permanent chronic unemployment. Now, concretely, I do think maybe, Comrade Press, I might be putting you here on the spot. I'm talking about President Nazo. What are the timelines on the basis of which it may be possible legally now for workers at SAB to be able to go on a strike? I know that the dispute is there. I know that comrades have been conducting a ballot, but I think that information may be important, including in our own projections, because I do think if we can have an additional and fresh layers of workers joining the strike, that would be important. What do we do about NUMSA, which I think we have as well approached, but so far they have not responded. I mean, I was tasked to call the General Secretary of NUMSA. I did. He didn't take my call. I sent him a message. He blue-ticked me, but I've now copied both the president and the deputy president of NUMSA. The president has acknowledged. But what then do we suggest? How do you approach them, perhaps in a manner that can be more persuasive than perhaps just a call between myself? And I know that Comrade ZV has also raised an issue about him not, or possibly not be able to succeed. So we obviously need to say what disputes can we really bring to the fore. And that just means also, comrade, accelerating disputes where they are inevitable, but obviously, employers are trying to stall, because I do think that this strike at the moment is looked upon by all classes, both the bourgeois and our side, in terms of its outcome. And I do think that some of the employers are stalling the strike precisely so that they allow Clover to be defeated on the basis of isolation and support from other potential allies which we can link with in struggle. But I also think that it's important that we firm up the actions come. And I think in the rural areas across the country, in various provinces, and I suggest I suggest, Comrade Ferron, that we strengthen your task team, because I do think that we are going to need comrades that can work with us on full-time basis, semi-full-time, because I think comrades have other responsibilities. They are working somewhere to ensure that, who is doing what in Limpopo, Free State, KZN. The structures are in place, campaign is rolling, and of course we go to the mall, but also we actively reach out to the rank and file of trade union movement over and above just writing letters to trade union federations and trade union leadership at the top, so that we are able to build capacity, we are able to unite workers, this strike with other workers that are willing to join, but also with communities that are willing to support actively. I suggest, because also I think that the media battle that we've been waging has also been very important front as well, because one thing is that I see Clover miscalculated. They thought if they don't comment, the matter will go away. We are keeping it there, and I do think that we may need assistance in making sure that that continue to happen. So I do think that team, Comrade Ferron, maybe we get comrades that can assist us in terms of making sure that we have a regular media alerts, but not just for bourgeois media. We need also bulletins for our own movement, right? Working class communities that we can share in our own social media spaces, WhatsApp, Twitter, and of course Facebook, which I think is the most widely accessible media on the thing. But I think, comrades, we also need to firm up the program of occupation. I can't see how we can just proceed, marching up and down with the kind of pickets that we have sustained so far, right? The question of an occupation need to be firmed up. Which factory are we occupying? When? And how are we mobilizing to make sure that on that day we are able to breach what security arrangements are put by the company and possibly with the aid of the police? We need to be able to do that. I mean, we might not be able to disclose all our details here, but I do think that there has to be a very concrete planning around that, because I can't see how a normal picketing, can be, we can just continue on this route and so on. So those comrades would be my proposal. We also need to just say in terms of International Day of Action, I know we have, comrades who belong to...
I'm going to ask you to try and be more brief. Please wrap up. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm saying that we have comrades that belong to different international organizations here. My party, International Socialist Alternative, has been engaged, and I think they are planning several international, solidarity actions. I do think that there must be conscious efforts to also approach other comrades who have also international relations, international comrades in different countries, because I don't think you should think about it's not going to be a war strike and other things, but I do think that even a small actions of about 4-5 comrades at the Israeli embassy, at South African embassy, at Coca-Cola outlets, and others that we may identify, that is going to be very important in sending a loud and clear message. And I do think that comrades of Keep Left I see, comrades of MWP are here, and I'm not so sure that there are others, but I also think that international federations of trade unions as well, need to be approached to say, how are they helping us? I know that the food industry, the food workers have an international federation. Maybe Comrade Nazo, you may help us with that, to say how do you approach them so that they also support us, as well as international federations of trade unions as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kam. I think some of the activities that you're talking about also need to be discussed, I think, in a meeting with union officials and with the unions that are that can perhaps take part in secondary strikes and mobilize resources for occupations and so on. So I think that's something very important that needs to be taken up. And I think Comrade Sibey, Comrade Andile, the Comrade Patrick, Comrade Atwell, we have the leadership of the unions here, and I think it's really important that they reach out to the other unions who Comrade Cardle from Gusau's already spoken about their activities. So so some of this needs to be led by the unions, but I think in terms of solidarity actions from other formations and so on, I think we're definitely open to comrades joining the task team, especially from other regions. So perhaps Comrade Xolani from KZN, and then Comrade maybe Cardle or Abida must join the national task team. So that's something that needs to be considered. And if you're available to do that, you can just message me and then I'll add you to that group. Okay. So I'll come back to you. Comrade Juleka, you have the floor. Comrade Juleka. Okay, we'll come back to Comrade Juleka. Comrade Patrick Maseku, you have the floor.
Thanks, Faron. I really just appreciate for the opportunity that you have given me.
Recording stopped.
As far since our president have spoken, we really appreciate for the support that we get from all the people who are participating with us in the strike of the Clover, and we really appreciate also all the organizations that are together
Recording
with us
in progress.
In that strike of Clover. And I just like to put some words of encouragement. There is that saying that says, together we can overcome, and apart we will fall. So I can have an assurance that as we are holding that strike together, we are going to fight with these forces of Clover until we overcome them. And we must have that courage that what we are doing together will have a good outcome for our workers that are working at the Clover. So we must not think negative, and we must not look aside to other people who are not supporting. But as we are holding together, let us continue together, guys, and fight until the bosses of Clover, those Israelites, realize that what they are doing to our workers are not good, because we can't afford to lose some more workers, as we have lost more than 12,000 workers. So the only thing that I want just to put and to emphasize is that let us continue with the strike, and because I know that on the side of the bosses, they are fighting with unions, and I do believe they know that if ever we will lack, or either we will just surrender to what we are doing, they are going to overcome us, and they are going to make sure that there will be no union, or either any organization of which is a union that can able to rise or continue with some other strike. We are sending a message also to other companies as well, other companies who are trying to retrench workers, because we can't afford in South Africa that we can able to lose jobs as we are in crisis at this moment. That if you can check the statistics, if we are 34 or either 40% of unemployment, it shows that we are actually a country that is in crisis. So we can't afford that, Faron. So I'm just putting that encouragement to all the people who are together with us. Let's hold together. Let's work together as unions and fight against this really unemployment that is happening in our country. Let us fight against this bosses that are holding together to put to make the country to not to have to make the people to lose their job, or either to make the people not to have jobs. So it's something that I just put on Faron. It's something that I encourage. We are together. Let us hold it together and continue fighting. We are going to lose this battle. We are going to win this battle, and we are sure that as we are holding it together, we will have a good outcome. Is what I'm just putting on, Feron, and to appreciate also to all the unions and all the people and all the organizations that are together with us as FAU and Keusa in the strike of Clover. Thank you.
Thank you, Comrade Patrick, and Viva, Working Class Unity, Viva. I'm going to check again with Comrade Juleka. Are you there?
Hi, Com, I'm here.
Oh, go ahead.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Juleka. I represent the informal traders. It means the street traders, and they're also part of communities in the informal settlements. Now, I've heard a lot tonight about, who can do what and who can not do what. The thing is, the people in the informal traders, the people that are in the informal settlements, they play a huge role because they buy these Clover products. When are we going to go into the informal settlements and start speaking to the people or the people in the taxi ranks? Those are the things that are very, very important issues that we need to address and speak about it, because the people on the ground never hears about all these things because they are not on social media. So we need to also mobilize them. And then I mentioned on the group that I do have stickers, which will be contributed back into the, so that we can do the the campaigning. And then also we also have one or two artists that are part of the informal settlements that can maybe perform, to address the issue about the Clover and about the campaigning and so on. So I think we need to get the people on the ground involved, because this is very important, because we have been part of the Clover from the start. We've been there at the strikes and so on. So I think we play a huge role as the people on the ground. So I think we should consider going into the informal sectors. And I thank you.
Thank you, Comrade Juleka. I think that's a very good point. How can we connect all our different struggles, including the struggles of informal traders, who've been really hard hit by the pandemic, but also are part of the supply chain for dairy products. So so I mean, I think perhaps we can think about that a bit more and consider it at the rally. Okay, so Comrade John, do you want to come in?
Thank you, Comrade Feron. First of all, from Keusa's side, we would just like to extend our appreciation to the unions like Kasau, Thorn, and also the unions of the new unions of Palestine, as well as from the Botswana Textile Manufacturing and Packaging Workers Union, who have also pledged support because they organize the workers the Clover workers in Botswana. Just to say, in terms of the International Union of Food Workers, to which many food unions and dairy unions and commercial and catering unions belong to, have also pledged solidarity. They organize companies like Nestle and Danone, and Clover is distributing the products of Danone and Nestle. So they are going to develop a program of action to put pressure on Danone and Nestle. They will also see in terms of other areas where their unions are operating, so that they can also put pressure. So from the IUF, which is the International Union of Food Workers, we are getting that solidarity. They have indicated to us that they will be sending us a formal communication to outline their solidarity and their support and what efforts they have made in terms of dealing with Danone and Nestle. Thank you, Comrade.
Absolutely amazing. Thank you, Comrade John, for that. That's excellent news. Yeah, so we'll keep talking. I think this is a good time to also mention the solidarity statement that's been produced. And we've already gotten quite a number of amazing international solidarity from different comrades in across the world. I'm just getting the list out quickly. I just closed it accidentally. Give me 1 second. Oh, here we go. Okay, so there is a statement that comrades can sign. It's part of the Clover Strike Solidarity campaign, calling for support for the ongoing strike at Clover, and it's got signatories from all over the world, including the International Socialist Alternative, the working class movement in Namibia, in South Africa. We've got Casual Workers Advice Office, Kasau, Makana Citizen Front, Socialist Youth Movement, South African Boycott, Divestment Sanctions Coalition, Workers and Socialist Party, Zimbabwean Exemption Permit holders. This is just, I'm not mentioning everybody, but just a few. We've also got some elected officials, socialist officials, Mick Barry from the Republic of Ireland, who is a TD in the Irish Parliament. That's like a Minister of Parliament for the Socialist Party. Sharma Sawant, who's a Seattle City Council member for Socialist Alternative in the United States, which is a very prominent socialist politician in the United States. Liv Shangi Moyo, who's a city councillor in Sweden, another city councillor in Sweden, Comrade Jonas Bramberg. And then we've got many individual signatories also who have signed on. So many socialist groups and socialist parties, working class. I think Comrade shared the statement in the group, so you can sign it as an individual, as part of your organization, but also share it with I know there are many groups here that are part of broader internationals. So if you can get either international union support or internationals to support, and then on our International Day of Action, we can also mobilize those comrades to join actions in their communities. Okay, so okay, and then Comrade Sajida is asking if we can share the pledge via email. So yes, I will make sure that we email that to you, Comrade. And then yeah, the solidarity statement is there, and comrades can please sign it and also share it within your networks. Comrade Cardle, I'm gonna give you the last word and then we're gonna wrap up. Comrade Cardle, go ahead.
Thank you, comrades. I'm struggling to unmute me. Yeah, comrade, I think that I will reiterate my call that we must put pressure on the SAFTU unions. We must put pressure on them. All the unions that was earmarked to be part of the solidarity, to be part of the immediate part of the value chain, we must put the pressure on them. We must not think, I think I hear Comrade Subay, the reluctance of certain people to meet and discuss. Now I will propose, comrades, Kasabu will propose that we make an appointment, send a task team, send the task team to all the units that was earmarked, and let we discuss in with them, and we test them, test their availability. So we must not allow allow them to getting away with their attitude. You see, we are in a revolution. We are in a war, comrades, and we don't need this kind of attitudes. So that is why I made this proposal that we, the task team, and I think the task team will achieve more than if comrade was respect when comrade Subay making a phone call, phoning the GS. I think what we should do as a task team is to meet the leadership of NUMSA. Let me meet them. Let me test them out. I think that is the proposal that I would like to make, comrades, not to allow those people to getting away with murder. It is murder. You see, it is murder when they adopt this kind of an attitude when our people, there's a war against our people. So, comrade, that is the proposal that I would like to make. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Comrade Carter. I really agree with that. I think it's very important that the unions agree and discuss on to discuss how we can go about working together in solidarity, especially perhaps mobilizing for the rally, mobilizing for the International Day of Action, and then also the secondary strikes. So I'm going to, I know Comrade John and Comrade Andile have been trying to do that. And we'll make sure that happens before Saturday, I think. Comrade Andile?
No, thank you, Comrade Chair. I just want to support Comrade Karen because we've been asking them to come, and I think he's right. We must go to them. And I think as a task team, we can look at that. And maybe I also think in the provinces, that could be also part of the initiative. Let's go to them, which puts more pressure on them. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, great. Okay, comrades. I'm going to close the meeting. In terms of, thank you so much, Comrade Adriana from the CSP Conductors from Brazil, who's attended the meeting and is in solidarity with the Clover workers. I am asking if please do sign the solidarity statement, Comrade Adriana. It's Kwame, if you can paste it again in the group, just in case the comrades missed it. And then I just want to say,
okay, cool, man. Yeah.
Who's speaking? Oh, Comrade Andy. Okay. I just want to say that
minus.
I don't know if, okay. Sorry, I was confused. I didn't know if Comrade Andile wanted to come in. I just want to say thank you to everybody who attended this meeting or live streamed or watched. We've got a large number of people who have pledged contributions, and we'll follow up with you. But amazing that so many of you have attended and are willing to join us on the picket line, to join us in the shops and boycotting and spreading the word about the fact that we need to boycott. We need to boycott Clover and fight against job cuts across the board. The comrades from Gasau have spoken about how this would be an enormous setback, not just for Clover workers, but for all workers in the supply chain, all farm workers, and workers more broadly. We see the capitalist class really becoming incredibly confident and emboldened to attack and punish workers, putting their livelihoods on the line and forcing them into poverty, instead of making sure that they get a fair share of the wealth they produce. And in fact, I mean, there have been many calls about occupations of these different factories, and if we can build our movement, if we can raise funds, if we can really make sure that we build strong networks and organization, we can move towards occupying these countries, these factories, that are being threatened to close down. We see so many retrenchments and factory closures. It doesn't have to. We can take back our factories. We are the ones who produce the wealth. Why not? So so thank you very, very much, everybody. We will please keep if you're not in the WhatsApp group, please send me a message and I will, or let me just put my number in the chat. Send me a message and I will send you the link or add you to the chat, to the Clover Solidarity group. But you can also see information on the SAFTU Facebook page, also the Giwusa Facebook page, and I'm sure also the FAU Facebook page. So please keep an eye out on those pages for the solidarity actions. The rally will be happening this Saturday, and that will also give you more information on what actions are going to happen. So there's the rally that's on Saturday in Johannesburg, but in terms of actions in Cape Town and KZN, we'll keep you posted on those Facebook pages. The rally will be in Cathedral of Christ the King Catholic Church. It's on the corner of Smith and Nugget Street in Hillbrow/Berea. It's in that area. So please join us then. Then we will be going to different shops in the different areas to make sure that we put the boycott Clover stickers and leaflet to raise awareness of the strike. Then on the 27th of January, we'll also have an International Day of Actions. We've got commitments for comrades to go to Bloemfontein. We've got actions happening in KZN, actions happening in the Western Cape, and actions happening here in Gauteng. But then also we've got international solidarity of comrades happening in other parts of the world. Okay, so I'd like to thank you all. Thank you all for your pledges. Please consider asking, neighbors, friends, family, rich family, if they can also donate. Maybe it's your birthday and they can give their, the money to the Solidarity Fund or whatever it is. But please do consider helping us raise funds for this. It's the only way we're going to be able to sustain this action. But yeah, on behalf of SAFTU, we greatly appreciate your presence here today. Thank you, Salam Media, for live streaming this. And we appreciate your support and solidarity, comrades. Forward, Clover, forward. Clover workers, forward.
Forward. Forward.
Amandla.
Away
to. Hi, comrades.
Forward, comrades.
Away to.
Aluta continua.